We're going to talk about triad patterns. The way of looking at triads is using 3 chords from the Chord system. The Chord system is essentially 5 master chord shapes, and those shapes are the C major chord, we've got the A major chord, we've got the G major chord, we've got the E major chord, and then we've got the D major chord. Any chord you play has its roots in one of those 5 shapes. Sometimes they get so distorted, you'll be looking at it and you'll be going, hang on, is that an A shape or is it a G shape? I have no idea, it's in between. And this is what this kind of shows as well, because these 3 triad patterns, they reveal the intersects between the shapes. And what do I mean by the intersects? If we play a C chord, right, this is the root note for a C chord here, guys. But the thing is, if I use that root note there for an A shape, then I can play an A shape up here. There's the A shape. And it's still a C chord, because I'm only playing the notes C, E, and G. Now, when I play these notes, this is a major chord. We take the notes that we need, the ingredients for the chord, from the parent scale, which is C major. This is the root note of the scale. This is a C. This here is a D. That's the second note of the scale. We don't want that one, but we want the third. We get the fourth here, then we get the fifth here on the open G string. And actually, if I just played the A, D, and G strings, that is a C major triad in its entirety. So it's just 3 strings. So those people who think that you need to play all 6 strings, no, you don't. You can cheat. If you just played those 3 strings like that, it's enough for a song. This is the foreshadowing. If I take that third and flatten it and make it minor, this becomes a C minor, just using those 3 strings. We got through the waffle real quick, and I'm now sad because I haven't got a cup of tea. Now, there's the major, there's the minor. So the moving parts that we have with this is this third idea. Now, like I say, C major, A major, G, yeah, we've got an E and D. Now, those are the 5 shapes. We're just going to ditch the C major chord and we're going to ditch the G major chord for now. Because what I want to show you is this thing that happens in the E chord. What I want you to do is get your guitar. Or, if you want to do this, you've got to look at this lesson in the book. Lesson 25, page 31. We're going to expand it out, guys. So, we've got this here. How many fingers have I got on there? I've got my pinky out like I'm having tea with the Queen. Well, the King, as it is now. Got 1, 2, 3 fingers on. Now, if I go from ceiling to floor with this, I've got the 5th, the root, and the 3rd on there. Remember what I just said about that C major chord? It had 3 ingredients. It had a root, it had a 3rd, and it had a 5th from the scale. We didn't use any of the other notes. We want to keep it basic. So, we'd use that there. Yeah, so I can do the same here. Now, this is 5th, root, 3rd. From the ceiling to the floor, it goes 5th, root, 3rd. Right, okay. So this is 5th, root, 3rd as well. So the A shape. Remember, we've got 5 shapes, cage shapes, C, A, G, E, D. So we've done the E shape, we've done the A shape, 5th, root, 3rd. Then the last one of them is the D shape, and this goes the same. 3 fingers. And those 3 fingers go 5th, root, 3rd. Now, the reason this is important is because we want to know where the 3rd is. Because if we know where the 3rd is, we can lower it 1 fret and make the chord minor. And importantly, it's not just the chord we can make minor, it is the triad that we can make minor as well. This is super, super quick. We get the C major chord from the C major scale, and that's the worst 8 I've ever drawn in my life. So what we do then is we take the 3 notes that we want, and those 3 notes form something called triad, because there's 3 notes. Triceratops, trifle, triangle. So the C major chord, we've got the root, we've got the 3rd and the 5th. I'm going to stack these in this manner. So I've got the root, the 3rd and the 5th, and that would give me a C, an E, and a G. Now, if we look at this in pitch, going up, the lowest sounding note we have is this C note here. This is called root position. The way we denote that, we'd say that it's root, 3rd, 5th. That's how we'd spell that out as a chord formula. But what we can do is we can turn these and we can invert them. So what it basically means is we don't start on the root note. What we're going to do is we're going to start on the 3rd instead. We're going to put that E at the bottom, The fifth's going to go there, and then we've got to chuck the root all the way up to the top here, and we get them in a different order. But you can see it's still C, E, G. Now, because we've inverted that, this is the first time we've done it. This is called the first inversion. So we get that first inversion, because we've got another one to go at. It's about permutations, really. If we take the fifth and start on the fifth, I'm going to put the root up here, which was a C, and then I'm going to put the third up there. That was an E. This is called the second inversion. Now, this one here goes 3, 5, R. So you should be writing this down on a piece of paper. Root third, fifth, 3, 5, R. When we look at this one here, however, second inversion, you see it goes fifth, root, third, 5, R, 3. Well, hang on. I've just told you that this one is my E, A, and D shapes. And if we want to tie caged into this one here is the C and G shapes. So we want this C major chord. We take the scale, we pull the 3 ingredients that we need, the root, third, and fifth, because Western music uses this thing called tertian movement. Okay? So root position, chords get called. In this instance, it would be C. If it was first inversion, it would be C/E. If it was second inversion, it would be C/G. So that's the way you're looking at it there. And it helps with your chord naming conventions. Brilliant. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this information and I just want to show you how this works. I'm going to plot out an A major chord. Now, the thing we know with A major, I'm going to just do the A major scale. Right, now what I do is I think about what my sharps and flats are in the key of A. And I know that G sharp is my last one. So I go Father, Charles, goes. Right, okay, so Father, Charles, goes. So that's my A major scale. My root is an A, my third is a C, and my fifth is an E. So let me transfer that information over there. This is A major. A equals A, C sharp, and E. And that gives us the root, the third, and the fifth, because we've got this major pattern here. We've got this master major pattern. And I'm going to put the 5R3s in because those are the ones that I was talking about. We can use those as our north stars. This is a fifth, this is the root, and this is the third. This note here is an E. Look, D, E. This note here, G, A. That's the root note. B, that would be C there. So this is going to be C sharp. And remember, that's going to help me there. So I'm just looking at that business going on there. And I'm just filling this in, guys. It's just like Sudoku. This is the next one. E. So there is another fifth. And if we think about the chord shape, I could put these here. I've got an E and I've got an A there. That's going to help me. Say I had that thing where I had the inversions. Let me just put a root chord down. A root chord, A, would be A, C, E. That would be my root position. If it was going to be an A over C sharp, then what happens is we start on the C sharp. That's the idea. We go C, E, and then A like that. So look, that's the A in root position. But if you wanted to, you could equally wallop that E in there as well. But bear in mind, when you do that, A over E, you end up playing the second inversion. So the thing is, this is how I discovered this. And you've got to sit down with pen and paper and go through this stuff because you can discover these things. So I thought to myself, oh, hang on. I know from Cage that this is the A shape here. But I'm going to show you how you organise it. And then I'm going to show you the pattern and how it forms. This shape here lives inside a G chord. So if I come up here and I put this one here and this one here, can you see that the G shape is forming there? If you look at that, it's going to start looking like a G shape. Can you see the top of a G shape there? So we're going to do that. Now, the way I play my G shape, I like to play it with the fifth there, and then I put the root there. So hopefully you can see that looks like a G shape. And this is what I mean about that intersect, guys, because if you think about it, this is the A shape and this goes into the G shape and it follows the Cage sequence. We get this intersect that happens, and that's the intersect between two shapes. This is the A shape, this is the G shape. Now, this is wonderful that we're seeing this, but really the pattern that I want you to see is this shape here, because this is the first of the 3 master triad shapes. You go there and you go there. That is your first pattern. But I want you to see how this root position, first inversion, and sequence carries on. It keeps on going around and around. So we get 3 different inversion formulas here. So root, third, fifth. The first inversion goes third, fifth, root. Then the second inversion goes fifth, root, third. Now remember I said that before there. So if you look here, you can see it goes root, third, fifth. But then if we take that root note off and we start again, we go third, fifth, root. So that would be the first inversion. If we take those two off there, we get the second inversion. Then if I take those three off, I get the first inversion. So this here, if you just put those two fingers on there and played that E string, you are essentially playing an A chord. It's not going to sound really thick and lush, but this is the way to look at it, guys. So this is the first master shape. What's also going to help here is, this is the benefit of understanding the cage system. The A shape, the G shape, the next shape that comes after the G shape in the cage system, because if we look at it, C, A, G, E, D, it's going to be the E shape. E shape comes next. You can see that you would bar across here, and what we would do is we would put the E shape on here. Look at this. This is where the 5R3 helps us out again, just to get our bearings. That's the North Star. So we've got this 5R3 shape just there. But that isn't all that's going on here, guys, because if that's the root, then there's going to be a major third up here on this E string. So this one goes 3 just here. So here what happens is we get into the next master triad shape. Can you see? It's an E-shaped bar chord that's underneath it. But the thing that you're looking for is, because we're starting on the third here, third, fifth root. That's the first inversion. Lose that one. Second inversion comes next, goes back to root position. Take that off, goes back to first inversion. You can see if I had another string, it would go back to second inversion. So it would carry on going across there, snaking across in this reliable manner. All you're doing is you're following your inversions. You go root, third, fifth root, 5R3. And the reason you might want to do that is because when you start playing the inversions add a different richness, because you're introducing different gaps in the harmony. You're not just playing with thirds. If you look at the distance between that fifth and that root note there, it's a perfect fourth. So you're introducing a fourth into the harmony just by looking at that way. So moving from a fifth to the root, you're moving away from that third thing that we all think that we have to do first, really, of just doing thirds or everything. But it accidentally introduces them, and it introduces other intervals. If we look between the fifth and the third in an E shape, that's a major sixth. You start to see all these wonderful patterns, how they manifest themselves. So hidden in your major chords, you've got fourths and sixths. So it's really interesting how this works. Now, I'm going to take this up in its natural conclusion, and actually I want you to see this from the perspective of just looking up the thick E string here. And you can see this here. I've got a root, I've got a third, and then because I know my major triad goes up a major third, and then the fifth is a minor third above, then I can just plonk that on there. And that's where my fifth lives. And because I know where my fifth lives there, I can say to myself, that's going to go 5R3. 5R3. And then what happens is, it goes, let's get rid of that, it goes root, third, and it's going to go fifth just here. Because it's got here on this fifth, if I just get rid of that for a minute, this here, 5R3. What shape's that, guys? So you start to see the North Star shapes are these guys here. And this one here, because this is your second inversion. So this is why I always talk about this, because everybody learns the E, A, and D shapes first because they want to learn to play Wild Thing. That's it. So you put that there, and then you join that on. This is the third and final pattern. But let me just tie this in. We're caged. If we look at that from there and there, we get an E shape. We can see that the E shape is just there. Okay? And then if we come up here, it starts to look a bit more complex, but essentially that's your root note. If you played a D chord, you would play it from the D string. You could have these other notes here, and in fact, if you played a D with an F sharp in the bass, if you did it in first inversion, you could have that behind there. But you can also see where the fifth is going to come from. So this ends up giving you your D shape, which then the D shape and the C shape are so closely linked. And I have this little arpeggio that I love to play, and I'll just show you this as well on the guitar. This helps you with seeing arpeggios, and this is a really useful arpeggio, I think. And it's very simple. All you do is you think to yourself, 5R3, and you go, right, so you've got 5R3, and there's your fifth again. Is it the Woody Woodpecker one? Now all have to do is go 5th root and say to yourself, that's the root, that's on a D now. If I move it up to the E, this is going to be an E. So there's an E. F, you wouldn't think that's an F, but that's an F triad. Different to an F chord. Alright, there's an F chord. We can hear how that works on the top of that. I've got the looper plugged in, guys. I'm just playing an F power chord here. Right. Doesn't get much simpler. But basically I'm putting an F on top of another F. That's all I was playing. I was playing the F major chord. But this is the A major chord. So I could do exactly the same thing with the A. And a practical use case of this would be, say someone's playing an A down here, yeah, in the open cowboy chord position. Well, you could say to yourself, hang on, I know where the D shape lives at the 9th fret. Yeah, so let's do that. So if I play an A here, I can move up here. But what about this idea of the intersect between these chords? So wherever we've got the D, the C chord is part of it. In fact, you'll see that this shape here, if I take this D shape and I move it down behind the note, you can see that's an open string and that's an open string. And that's the first finger that you hold down, and then the C chord joins onto it. So anywhere I can see that D shape, I know that my first finger can play the C shape there. Now, if I'm going to play it as a bar chord, I have to play it like that. I could play it like that. So this ties into this shape here. So you can see that this is the intersect. But the main thing to get is, look at this, guys. We've got the 2nd inversion, root position, 1st inversion, then we get the 2nd inversion, and if you think about it, root and 3rd. If we had another string, the 5th would probably be on that. That is very cool as it is. And that's the shape that you want to hold in your head. A particular chord that I'm fond of myself is expanding that C shape. You see where it intersects with the D shape? I'm going to add that on here. So that's the D-shaped C, because it's behind there. I wouldn't put my fingers behind there. I'm not doing anything there. But if I take this here, right, what I can do is now I can add that 5th on here. And immediately it sounds rich and sumptuous and velvety. What I can actually do is just play it like an E chord. Look at that E shape there. 5R3, I can play it here. I get the same thing. I like to play these. They sound really rich. And they kind of voicings that people don't really play much. People play the cowboy chords. But if you're a folk singer or you're a bit arty, then you'll find that this is a good one. That's a C, that's a G. How easy is that change there, guys? There it is. There's the 5R3, that's the C chord, and that's a G chord. I'm muting out the A string there. I'm just firing through because I know that the A shape is living underneath in these 3 strings here. Yeah. Nice and easy. Now, we can get clever and play shapes like this. Yeah, so this is an A chord, and I'll just go in through those. I'm going to show you through the variations of this first shape here. The first shape, I could play an easy cheat like this. Root, 3rd, 5th. 5th, root, 3rd. This is a favourite. Yeah, because this one. Yeah, this is a 1st inversion, and it gives you that. That option to play your A chord with extra richness of that 3rd on top. You could equally play it with another root here. So there's lots of ways we can have this. We can play the 2nd inversion, 1st inversion, root position here. But that's a G shape as far as I'm concerned. And it's a bit stretchy and it's nice, but is it what you want? Is it a bit too plain? I like that rich sound there. So that's the first shape. Now the next one there. Okay, so now. So this is the pattern. So instead of going to your root note, this is an easy one to remember, guys, because if you, there's your A, yeah? That's your A using the E shape. Okay, but we can just skinny it down. You can play it like this. Just these three here. And what you could do is you can see 5R3, root, third, fifth, root, 3, 5R. Yeah, so, and you could do that. So I can link that to this. And I can also, this is a nice one, look at this is a chord that people don't play. I can bar the fifth and the root there. So I could play the 5R3 here, but what I want to do, I was going to access this third here. That might be a shape that I want to play. This is an A chord. Doesn't sound particularly great today. This guitar needs some loving. So there. Okay, now the next one. I go here. This is the C shape. So go 5R3, root, third, fifth, fifth, root, third. And I've got my fifth up here. Now, and that's the one that we could do. Like I showed you, this arpeggio idea, this little... That one that I showed you before. I can join it onto that C shape. Yeah, and I can add that to there. And then I'm into this territory where I can play arpeggios now. So remember, there's only 3 elements of pitch: chords, scales, arpeggios. So you can join them all up. Anyhow, there's lots of different ways to join them up. So that takes care of the major, guys. So those are the 3 master patterns. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this idea, and remember, this is why this ties into this lesson here in the book. Master shapes. If we take the major third and we lower it 1 fret, we get the minor third. So what I can do here is I can turn this master pattern into minors. So if I go here, I'm going to go root. My third should be here, but I'm going to put it down here because it's a flat third, and that's minor. Major is root, third, fifth. Minor is root, flat third, fifth. Now, the fifth is still in the same spot. The root is still in the same spot. But remember, that third was there before. So now what happens is it moves down here, and we get the flat third. Now, this ends up a little bit different, but you can see how it works. And if this was an A minor chord, we've got an A, a C, and an E. So this means that this is involved and this is involved as well. Now, let me just cross over. Hopefully, you can see there's my A minor chord. Reveals itself. These are your caged minor shapes. Then if we look at this here, we've got root third, fifth, roots here. Now, this is a bit of a bugger, is this, if I'm honest. And the way that I would play this as an open chord, I'd take that flat third and I would put it up here if I was playing it as an open chord. But if I come from this side now, that's the G shape. It's modified and it's not easy to play. You wouldn't play it generally. This would be the G minor shape there. But pattern-wise, we get this root, flat third, fifth, root, flat third, fifth. So you've got one pattern. That's your first master minor pattern. I'm going to put the minor 5R3 in here, guys. 5R, flat 3. And that demonstrates how we end up playing this. Look, you'd play that as a bar chord. That's your bar chord there. And it's an E minor shape that you get there. So these shapes, they all tie into this. But what happens is we don't have a major third, which would be at the 9th fret. We have a flat third just here. You can see how that alters that pattern. That's the second pattern. And let's move on to the next one. So we've got the flat third there. Remember, minor chords go up a flat third, minor third, and then from the third to the fifth, that is a major third. So this is the fifth here. So same as this, really. It's just the third that's doing all the shuftying around. There's the fifth, there's the root. The third was here before. You'll lower it 1 fret. Flat third lives there. We're going to put the fifth here. Look at the same way that the intervals are spelled. A, G, E, and then this becomes the D minor shape. Fifth, get the root, We get the flat third just there. Hopefully you can see these intersects again. Not insects. You shouldn't be seeing insects. Let me show you the intersects. So it just shows you where those 5R3s are. These are the minor 5R3s there. There's the minor one there. So that's from the A shape. This one here is from the E shape. And this one here is from the D shape. So then this part here goes into the C minor shape, which is bloody awful. It's hard to play. One of the shapes that I like to play is this one here, just these three here. And then what you can do is, whenever you see anybody playing triads up the neck in the key, just in major and minor triads, this is where these string sets come from. Because what you do is you break this down and you say, okay, I'm looking at my master pattern. Where do my shapes live on the D, G and B string? That's what I think of as a string set. A string set is 3 strings. So you look at that. You might look at the G, B and E string. Look at that shape. You look at that shape, and then you look at that shape. And that gives you the same chord in 3 different positions. But obviously you're exploiting different parts of the voice again. Okay, so you look at that. You can see 5th root 3rd, 5th root 3rd. Okay, so 5R3 is a thread that goes through it. You can see it there, 5R3, 5th root 3rd, 5th root. You're always going to find your way if you have the 5R3. This is why I teach the 5R3, because it just helps you to get your way around it. I'm going to demo some stuff here. We've got the 3 minor triad shapes. That was the one I was on about, but I could equally play just this little shape here. There, I could play this shape here. I could play this shape here. That's just using what's on those 3 strings there. There's a lesson in the book where I take the D shape, for instance. Major, minor, minor. Gives me an A minor. So just coming back down here again though, so we can see other sneaky ways to play what you wouldn't normally think of as a minor. Look at that. So I've got the 5th, the root, and I put the flat 3rd here. Yeah? And you can see, if I look at that, I just see my minor pentatonic. So I can see how that's going to fit in with that one. So I'll play that there. Hear the build up on that, how strange the change from minor to major. Here's my major, here's minor. Major, minor. We all know that one. This is the biggest sort of clue that you can see in that. You could just use all these shapes and you've got to explore them, guys. But the thing is, you take that idea there. So I've got A minor here. What I'll do in my own mind is I think to myself, I'm not coming in on the root note. Starting a solo or a phrase on a root note is boring. I could either come in on the 3rd, which is an emotion note, yeah? There's the 3rd. Now what I did is I just borrowed from my pentatonic. And then I play the triad there. Triads up the strings. You mix scales and you mix triads. And licks. And there. I've got this here. Yeah. So I can see where all these patterns are going to go. Yeah, so I can just mix and match and go through them. That was just using the A minor there.